After the buggy disaster that was WWE 2K20, everyone who caught a glimpse of the train wreck knew that 2K absolutely had to deliver with 2K22, especially given that they took almost an extra year and a half to work on it, so the pressure was on like never before. There is so much to get through, so getting right to the point, 2K has addressed the vast majority of the issues that plagued its previous entry, and has delivered a fantastic wrestling simulation title for its fans. It's not all perfect, there are a few things that irk me, and some of the modes still need some work, but overall, the game is so much fun to play, whether that be alone or with friends. The biggest improvement you'll see is in the famous squared circle itself. The gameplay feels smoother than ever, and the controls have been revamped. At first I thought it felt a bit convoluted, but once the muscle memory sets in, I found myself having extremely smooth, fast-paced matches. The system is essentially based around combos. I reviewed the title on PlayStation 5, so by using a combination of square for light attack, X for heavy attack, and circle for grapple, you can pull off a chain of strikes and maneuvers that blend in really well. When you grapple, you can also pull off light and heavy grapples through different button inputs. All of this provides a huge variety in moves, and that's just when your opponent is standing in front of you. I won't cover every new input around the ring because we'd be here all day, but trust me when I say, I found this to be the most comprehensive, intuitive, and smoothest experience I've ever had in a WWE game. There have been some bugs and small glitches, but that's to be expected from a game with so many moving parts. It's well within its threshold for bugs, especially compared once more to 2K19, which felt like there was a bug every game you played. Of course, there are a huge variety of match types to play through, ranging from the classic one-on-one to 8-man battle royals, TLC matches, the Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumbles, and so much more. I'd still love to see the inclusion of classics like Inferno and Buried Alive matches, but I can't really complain at the variety we do have. A cool little addition is seeing weapons used in matches slowly start to break with each hit. It's a small touch, but one that helps so much in the moment. Honestly, there isn't too much to say here, but visually, this is easily the best looking wrestling game that has ever existed. The jump to next gen shows clearly, some of the Superstars models are just incredible. Entrances are especially impressive, using a mixture of the jump in visual fidelity and the new camera angles to really amp up the cinematic feel. My favourite entrances come via Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. It feels like a huge upgrade to any previous title, and does truly feel next gen. Speaking of the wrestlers themselves, there are so many of them. With the roster boasting over 220 superstars, plus the added on DLC characters coming in the future, you're drowning in choices of who to use. Funnily enough, this does actually include a lot of wrestlers no longer with the company, with the likes of Jeff Hardy, Karrion Kross, the Iconics, Ember Moon, Keith Lee, Isaiah Swerve Scott, and many, many more having been released by WWE over the course of the last year. You even have leftover animations from some wrestlers who were removed last minute, like Adam Cole and Aleister/Malachi Black. I personally am pleased to still have these wrestlers and assets available, because it adds to creating this wider wrestling world. Then there's the soundtrack, put together by 2K and Machine Gun Kelly, that absolutely takes me back to previous WWE titles. A mixture of rock and rap, it's one of the best soundtracks I've heard in a WWE game for many years. Ever fancied yourself a fantasy booker? Well, 2K22 has seen the return of My GM mode, and after going through several seasons, I can say it's probably one of my favourite things about the game. You can play through it as one of Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, William Regal, Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, or your own created superstar. Once in, it's up to you to book your dream shows and outdo your rival show in the ratings. You can play through the matches or simulate them, and I've generally found it to follow common sense on what a good match could be. However, there is a formula you can follow for almost guaranteed success. A good example is to match up a super heavyweight against a cruiserweight, because they're considered to have good chemistry and therefore they can have a high match rating. My GM proves to be loads of fun, and a mode I ended up back on several times after finishing my initial season. Then you have My Rise, where you create your own superstar and go through what feels like a limitless number of stories. I've spent a good amount of time in each mode, doing each rivalry and quests to make it to WrestleMania and win the big one, several times. It's a really solid mode with some fun storylines to follow, even if it's a little bit cheesy at points. What's really cool is that this is the first year you can play a solo female story as well. While it's crazy it's not been in there before, better late than never. My Universe, while not exactly new to the franchise, does feel like a bit of a mishmash of My GM and My Rise. You can choose to either control one superstar, existing or created, and play out their path through the WWE calendar, or the entire roster and run your own, universe. To be honest, from the time I spent with it, it felt a bit flat and soulless. My GM and My Rise feel like much better alternatives in my opinion. However, if you look at YouTube, you'll see plenty of My Universe playthroughs, so it still clearly has its audience. But we're not done yet. Then there is My Faction, the card-based mode where you earn points to help you build the perfect faction. Think FIFA's Ultimate Team. It's probably the mode I was least attracted to and the mode I spent the least amount of time in. Any mode that pushes you towards using real money to purchase virtual currency is one I tend to stay away from. It is a single player mode, so 2K have been keen to express there is no real advantage to purchasing in-game currency other than to speed things up for yourself. The mode just feels outdated compared to the rest, where things are either in your control or follow stories that require nothing but participation to get the best experience. Last but not least in this plethora of modes is Showcase, the mode that takes you through the career of a legend. This year we get one of the greatest to ever do it, and without a doubt the greatest luchador ever, the iconic Rey Mysterio. On a personal level, I grew up idolizing this man, so I was incredibly excited to relive his greatest hits. The mode blends gameplay, in-game cinematics, and real-life footage to create these hybrid matches. Add on narration and thoughts from the man himself, and it's been a blast playing through the whole Showcase. WWE 2K22 continues to be a creator's dream, with a huge suite of tools to help create your own custom characters, or even existing sports entertainers and professional wrestlers. Of course, the tools extend far past just wrestlers. You can build arenas, title belts, entrance videos, movesets, and more. The quality of the creations for the most part is at the highest level as well. Wrestlers can have face scans imported into the game for extra realism. This isn't new, but I still love the feature. And you can import a ton of images for tattoos and attires. One specific letdown for me though are the options for hair, which seem to be exactly the same as they were in 2K20. They feel lifeless, bland and dated, especially compared to the hair on existing superstars that got a big upgrade. It's also a shame to see advanced entrance creations removed, as we're stuck assigning the existing entrances to create the superstars. The community creation section of the game is a pretty incredible place. 2K have enabled cross-platform creation sharing, meaning you could have made the best Matt Hardy creation on Xbox and share it to players on Steam and PlayStation. This is amazing when you realise just how many incredibly talented creators there are out there. I had a pretty damn convincing CM Punk, Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley in my game within the first week, with new models being added every day. The search function allows you to easily find the best creations out there too. One pretty interesting thing we're seeing in the community creations is the inclusion of hidden and locked characters we didn't know were previously available. A current day Shawn Michaels, short hair and all, is available to download if you've unlocked certain parts in the game from different modes. Then the likes of Corey Graves, usually on commentary and not playable, and Scarlett, who's usually a manager, are also available to download and use in the game. It's a cool thing I'm not sure we're meant to be able to do, but we'll enjoy it nonetheless. WWE 2K22 has firmly left 2K20 in its dust and righted many of the wrongs. 2K will be very happy to leave that in the past and fully focus on what looks like a bright future with WWE games. A strong, smooth gameplay experience with revamped controls, more modes than ever, and the best damn looking game we've ever seen come from the franchise, WWE 2K22 says it just whooped your ass, and that's the bottom line. If you enjoyed this review, please remember to give us a subscribe and like, and we'll catch you next time.